Young swings, misses, strike three. 100-mile-an-hour fastball, a 1-2-3 sixth with a couple of Ks, and we go to the seventh inning. Yepes swings, grounds it to the left side. Solano in the breadbasket has got it. Throw to first in time. 7 no-hit innings for Dylan Cease. 1-1. Now the pitch. Swung on, bounced up the middle, right to Kim, behind second base. Throw to first is in time. 8 no-hit innings for Dylan Cease.
Welcome into the Skraby Show. Thank you for joining me here on July 25th. A very, very happy day for all Padres fans. A very happy day for Dylan Cease. I mean, if you are a Padres fan, there's nothing you can feel bad about today because today was awesome. I didn't even realize that Dylan Cease had the no-hitter because I was driving around this morning and I was listening, but every time I guess I got out of the car, I missed them saying that he had a no-hitter going, and so I found out when I got here that he had a no-hitter going. And then I just watched the game with Sammy, Levitt, and Frank in studio because it was I didn't want to move, number one, because, you know, the jinxing of things when apparently I have the control over what happens with the game. But I didn't want to move, number one, and I just wanted to see it, number two, because I felt like it was going to happen. Once I figured out that it was a no-hitter and I got out of my car and was, you know, in studio listening to Tony and Jesse and watching the TV, it was something that I just felt deep in my bones. He was going to do it. And he seems like a guy, and I said this earlier, he seems like a guy who is out of the guys on the pitching staff, and you were to say, hey, who's going to throw the first no-hitter out of these guys, or who's going to throw a no-hitter this year? I probably, and it's easy for me to say now, obviously, but I probably would have said Dylan Cease just because of how close he's gotten in the past and what kind of stuff he has. He showed today that he can be literally unhittable, and he has been over the past 3 starts. It's been incredible what Dylan Cease has been able to do so far this season, or so far in the last 3 games, but same with the season. I mean, Dylan Cease has been lights out for the Padres more often than not. In his last 3 starts, he's gone 22 innings. He's only given up 2 hits, no runs, and 30 strikeouts over those 3 starts. Sarah Lang says Dylan Cease is the first pitcher since at least 1901 to go 6+ innings and allow 0 or 1 hit in 3 straight outings. So what Dylan Cease is doing right now is historic. And I'm not overstating that when I say that, because there's only a couple guys in the history of the game that could say they have had a similar stretch to Dylan Cease, or at least something that, I mean, it's not going to be exact, but Dylan Cease is standing alone right now amongst all these pitchers in Major League Baseball history. Even old hose. Dylan Cease is standing taller than old hose today, I gotta say. If you want to watch the show, you can. You can just go to YouTube, search 97.3 The Fan. You can also go to my Twitter, at Matt Skraby, MattsKraby, as in boy, Y. On YouTube, if you want to chat, you can as well. There's a good chat going right now, and I appreciate everybody who's already in there. If you want to join, again, 97.3 The Fan, you just search that in YouTube, and you will be able to find it. Also, we had a pretty crazy show here today. Sean Lewis, the Aztecs football head coach, he was on the show, so I'm going to put that podcast up in just a little bit, and you can hear everything that he had to say. I'm a big believer in Sean Lewis. I feel like he's a pretty stand-up guy, and he's not trying to pull the wool over my eyes. I feel like everything that he says is coming from a truthful place, and so I am looking forward to this season with the Aztecs a lot. And Chris mentioned, actually, that the last time, or I guess when Sean Lewis threw out the first pitch, it was against the Yankees on May 25th, my birthday, actually. Dylan Cease was pitching that night, so there's some sort of little connection right there, too. All right, let's see. Let's go through the chat. This is what we do, and I name everyone who's in there. J-Mac, Easy Money, Castro, Sammy Lev's new emoji. Don't know who that is. Podzilla is here. M. McKee is here. Dave is here. It's CJ is here. Jacob, and Welsh Fryer is here all the way from across the pond. Thank you so much, Welsh Fryer, for joining us. Welsh Fryer is pumped up right now. I can tell. I can just tell Welsh Fryer is pumped up. He's still, I mean, it's like 4 in the morning there or something, 5 in the morning or something like that. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to play Dylan Cease being interviewed by Sammy Lev at the end of the show. But I told you guys just before we left Gwen and Chris that I need to give Jurickson Profar a little bit more credit for something that I don't think I've ever really talked about specifically before. And that would be his splits from the right side of the plate and from the left side of the plate. I know he's a switch hitter, always know he's a switch hitter, but I've never this season alone just never really looked into those numbers. I've looked at them and then passed them by and paid no attention to them. But at this point in the season, these numbers are a pretty good sample size. And not only is Jurickson Profar doing everything right now, he's doing everything basically really well on each side of the plate. Now, against left-handed pitchers, he has 43 less at bats. But so it's going to skew the numbers a little bit because they face less left-handed pitchers. Against right-handed pitchers, he has 249 at bats. So against righties, Jurickson Profar is hitting 281 and he has an OPS of 809. He's hit 9 home runs, 39 RBIs, and he's walked 32 times with 12 doubles. As a lefty or facing a left-handed pitcher, which again, he has a lot less at bats, he has 4 doubles, 6 home runs, 21 RBIs, 15 walks. He's hitting 340. He's got a 973 OPS. And the BABIP on that, which is batting average on balls in play, versus a left-handed pitcher, 330, versus a right-handed pitcher, 319. So this isn't just coming from one side of the plate, which is 100%, one of the things about switch hitters, and I guess I'll just bring it up because in college I watched a lot of the Giants. Pablo Sandoval was the switch hitter for the Giants, and you could tell that he clearly struggled from one side of the plate at times. And this year hasn't. You just don't even think about it when Jurickson Profar goes up there. And you got to think that that's extremely difficult for teams to deal with because you have a guy who can, make the matchup for himself better by being able to switch sides. But at the same time, he's also crushing both the ball on both sides. So he's not an easy out. And he is continuing to show us why Jurickson Profar is having this magical season that he is having. And last night, put him ahead with the home run. He's been a part of so many important moments here this season. He's been in front. I'm getting ahead of myself. He has been in the mix. When you think of big moments this year, you have to think Jurickson Profar. Coming to mind right now, it's the game against the Nationals. And then you have yesterday putting him up 4-3. And even though they lost the game, he still hit that home run off of Imanaga at Wrigley. And he put the Padres up in that one. They ended up losing, but you get the point. When something big has happened for the Padres, Jurickson Profar is in the middle of it. And so Jurickson Profar, we talked about it a little bit earlier. Is he? I know he's not MVP. He's MVP in our hearts, but I know he's not MVP of the National League, mainly because there's someone. Shohei Ohtani is very, very, very good. But Jurickson Profar is my definition, and I know that the definitions are a little bit different. My definition is, and I said this earlier, if you take this person off of their team, how bad or what will their team look like without them? Now, Ohtani contributes a ton to the Dodgers. So you take him off the team, you're going to lose a lot. But at the same time, I feel like they can make it up with some of the other players that they have. But if you look at Jurickson Profar, you take him off this team, you are not, I don't think, winning or have the record that you do right now or even have the vibes in the clubhouse right now because Jurickson Profar is the definition most valuable player, I think. He is the most important to his team. Shohei Ohtani is going to win it, most likely, because of everything that he has done this year and continues to do. But Jurickson Profar should definitely be in a finalist. Chris told me they have 10 finalists. He should definitely be a finalist. He should be on that list. Now, how high he gets on that list, I don't know. His batting average has come down a little bit, but still, he's having these moments. and he's having these different he's having these magical, just crazy, dreamlike sequences this year. And I keep thinking, all right, is that going to be it? Is that going to be it? Same with Kyle Higashioka. You think he's done hitting home runs, and he keeps hitting home runs, or he keeps getting extra base hits and driving guys in. But these magical runs right now, I believe they mean something, and that means that I'm not saying they're going to win the World Series, but I'm going to say that maybe the vibes are good on their side, and maybe that will help them going forward. But today, awesome job. Swept the Nationals for the season series, and Dylan Cease throws a no-hitter. That is as much as any Padres fan can ask for, especially after all the fireworks that happened when the Nationals came to town and Jerickson Profar had the grand slam. He also had the walk-off. And then they get to Washington. We thought there may be some anger from the National side, but there was none. There was no anger from the Padres side either. There was a pretty civil series. But in the end, when the Padres look at the schedule, they're going to be like, who cares what they did against when they were angry with us in our own house because we took all 6 games from them this year. And that just also kind of pours cold water on that fire that was the Washington Nationals when they were kind of hanging around. The last time the Padres played, their record was not as bad as people would have thought, and they were still in a position to maybe make the playoffs, and there's still a lot of season left to go, but you could see which team was the better team in this series, and that was the Padres. Against Matt Waldron last night, gives up 3 runs early and easy, and you think maybe this is one of those starts for Matt Waldron. Maybe he just doesn't have it today. But what Matt Waldron has done this year, and I've noticed it several times, is that if he has bad early innings, he is able to at least find a way to get deeper into the game and spare that bullpen a little bit. It seems like he gets in trouble early, and all of a sudden you look up and he's in the 6th inning. And that's kind of what happened last night. And then all of those runs came in for the Padres. They end up winning big. And today Dylan Cease throws a no-hitter. It's just amazing. The season sweep over the Nationals, I think, even though they're the Nationals and they're not necessarily playoff bound, I still think that's a good feather in the Padres' cap. Because you kind of see right now why the Juan Soto trade was made with the players that they sent. Because I'm not saying that James Wood is going to be a bad Major League Baseball player. I'm not saying that James Wood is garbage. Nothing like that. He's very early into his career. I am not going to make any huge declarations about James Wood. But you kind of see why the Padres were willing to give him away to the Nationals for Juan Soto, because he's far off from being a everyday kind of not household name, but like people know who he is. He's far away from that. And so the Padres just didn't have the time to wait. They were on a completely different timeline. And so for when people say, well, James Wood, he's going to be great. He's going to be great. Yeah, he could be great, but it's going to take a little bit. And the Padres just don't have that time. The Nationals do have that time. And I saw what was happening in the left field today with James Wood. I mean, the only play of the game that really mattered was the play that he dove at the ball and it got behind him, and then 3 runs scored for the Padres. And the dive was an interesting dive. I'm totally not athletic, not professional athlete athletic. I'm not going to say I'm not athletic, but that dive was interesting, I got to say. It seemed like it was heading in slow motion as he was falling to the ground. But you have to give credit to the Padres for losing that game in Cleveland and then never looking back. Because I think we all had the same thought after that Cleveland game on that Friday. Like, wow, we're still losing. We're still doing this losing thing, huh? We're still going to shoot ourselves in the foot, huh? Well, they came back. They won big the next day. They won on Sunday, and then they won all three against the Nationals. So good stuff for the Padres. And the trade deadline is going to be incredibly important for the Padres. And we had RJ Anderson on today. That'll go up in a little bit on the podcast center. But we will talk more about the trade deadline tomorrow. And then the trade deadline is actually on Tuesday at 3 p.m. So we're going to have a special show for that. So we will be with you, and we will be here helping you dissect and figure out everything that's going on with trades in Major League Baseball on the trade deadline day. Now, when we get back, I would like to talk about Jackson Merrill. And I want to say something about Jackson Merrill that I've noticed, and I think that it is a good sign of things to come. And I also want to talk about Bennett Woods for a second. So I am going to do that when I get back. This is Skraby, Matt Skraby, 97.3 The Fan. We will be back shortly with more Padres talk and more fun on 97.3 The Fan. All right, everyone, back here in the Odyssey Palace, 97.3 The Fan, Matt Skraby. The Skraby Show, talking about Dylan Cease's no-hitter, talking about the Padres trade deadline, talking about Jackson Merrill, talking about Jurickson Profar, talking about it all here on 97.3 The Fan. And if you want to watch, you can just go to YouTube, type in 97.3 The Fan, and you will be able to find the broadcast there. Also on my Twitter, at Matt Skraby, M-A-T-T-S-K-R-A-B as in boy. Why? I would like to start with this because I don't really understand when I get messages from people who want to trade away some of the good players on the Padres to help rebuild the farm. I don't get it. And I understand you can't keep everyone all the time, but the Padres are playing better right now. Do I think that they're odds-on favorite to win the World Series right now? No, but they can get there if they continue to play better. They get Fernando back. They get Joe Musgrove back. Who knows? Maybe even they get Yu Darvish back at some point. This is not a team, to me, this is not a team that is going to be selling at the deadline. They're going to be buying at the deadline. And I think, and I said it a couple times now, they do not need to go after the Garrett Crochets of the world or the Tarek Skubals of the world. And by the way, finally found out that I was saying his name wrong this entire time. It's not Tariq Skubal, it's Tarek Skubal. So I feel pretty stupid about that one. But now I know and moving forward. But some of the stuff I was reading this morning about Tarek Skubal says that it would cost Leo Dallas DeVries and it would cost Ethan Salas. Both of them would have to go. And maybe even a Robbie Snelling or Dylan Lesko. Like, I just think that's way too much for one guy. Sure, he's great. He's a good pitcher this year. And he has a history of being pretty good. And he probably is a favorite to win the Cy Young right now in the American League. But he's also got team control. I just don't really think that it's worth it to go after a superstar at this trade deadline. Like, Juan Soto made sense to me because you bring in a generational player who ended up not being that generational here in San Diego. And you end up turning Juan Soto around into a lot of good pieces for your team. They got major league ready pieces for Juan Soto. And that's the difference right there in this season is Michael King and Randy Vasquez and Kyle Higashioka. That to me is the difference. But I'm just not really feeling like I should be happy if the Padres bring in a Garrett Crochet or a Tarek Skubal. I guess I would be happy, but at the amount that it's going to cost, I don't know. I'm just not thinking it. If there's got to be someone around baseball that is a fifth starter, fourth starter, fifth starter, and they really won't cost too much in either prospect capital or, trading some of the minor league guys. There's got to be someone out there that's going to be good enough to help you win and get to the playoffs and not cost you an arm and a leg in the franchise and basically the names of the entire minor league system for the Padres. Just don't think it's anything I'm interested in. And then I heard this or read this, and it changed my opinion once again to hard pass on Garrett Crochet. He wants a contract extension if he's traded in order to pitch in the postseason this year, according to sources familiar with the situation. He's also making it known he has no desire to pitch out of the bullpen, citing health concerns for all of the above requests. Now, here's the problem with this. Garrett Crochet still has 2 more years of arbitration before he becomes a free agent. And if he's going to a team that is going to be in the playoffs and possibly go deep in the playoffs, he wants to get paid so that he has some sort of security for if he gets injured. My first thought is, of course, this is what he should be doing because this contract is probably going to set him up for the rest of his life. But at the same time, he hasn't really. I mean, he's proven himself this year, but he hasn't pitched all that much. So I don't understand why you're making all these demands to be traded away from a terrible team like the White Sox to a team that's going to be good. And I understand that you want to be set up for the rest of your life or you want to get that contract. But if you're even worried about not being or being injured pitching late into the year, then that worries me. Because if you don't have the confidence that you could pitch without being injured, or if it's even in your mind that I need a new contract because what if I get injured, that tells me that I just don't want to deal with that part of a player. And Garrett Crochet, to me, I would say out. Because sure, is he good this year? Yeah. But let me go to his game log real quick, because he's got a 3.07 ERA. But here's his last 3 games. One of them is the All-Star game. Here's his last 3 games that he started. He's gone 4 innings, 2 innings, and 4 innings. I don't need a guy that is going to need to be shut down as soon as he gets here. I'm not a fan of this trade whatsoever. If they did it. Not a fan of Garrett Crochet. Like, I'm a fan of Garrett Crochet. I'm not a fan of what you would have to give up to get him. And to be making demands like, I need a new contract, is also something that I'm a little like, huh? Okay, what are you here for? Are you here to play baseball? Well, yeah, you're here to make money too, but are you here to play baseball? Or are you here just to waste away on the White Sox, get your arbitration money, and then go into free agency? It just doesn't sit well with me. I don't know why. I'm not sure why. But that's the situation with Garrett Crochet. He made those thoughts known, and now teams know that if they want to get Garrett Crochet in their uniform, it's going to cost a lot, and you're going to have some things to deal with. All right. I said I was going to talk about Ben Woods earlier. I said I was going to talk about Jackson Merrill earlier. So let's go with Ben Woods first. Now, Ben Woods, I woke up this morning, and I was doing my stuff on the computer, and I popped on their YouTube to see what they were talking about. And I was just sitting there and watching a little bit, and then I got off the YouTube, came back a couple minutes later, and then I saw this post from Woodsy's wife, Hannah Nancaro, saying that there was a cockroach in studio. So I don't see any cockroaches in here, and I'm not actually afraid of cockroaches in here. But that must have been a harrowing experience, because I saw those guys, or at least I saw the screenshot of those guys, jumping out of their chairs because there was a cockroach in the studio. I mean, I've never seen a cockroach in here, and that's pretty gross, I gotta say. I don't think it's that disgusting in here. Now, I do clean up after myself. I'm looking around because I just don't see how a cockroach would get in here. It's not that dirty. But anyway, Adam came in here and cleaned out the entire room. Like, everything is gone now because he needed to rectify the situation that it was Cockroach Gate during the Ben Woods show. But that's not what I wanted to talk about with Ben Woods. What I wanted to talk about is, it's not lost on me that those guys do 4 hours of radio every single day. It's not lost on me that I sometimes get off work early. So I just wanted to congratulate Ben Woods for getting some morning time off this morning with the early start. They had a 2-hour show, and I am happy for them because, you know, people say to me all the time, oh man, you get paid not to work. I would much rather work. I would 100% much rather work than have to do like a 20-minute show. 20-minute show isn't fun to do. An hour show, a little bit more fun. 2-hour show, good. But a 20-minute show, not fun to do. Like, I am not good with idle time. I am not good at doing nothing. And when I get off work, sometimes I have a second job, and but I work from home, so I'm sometimes doing that stuff. I also do stuff for the station, for the show at home. But I just wanted to say congratulations to Ben Woods this morning for getting their day off, or getting some time off. I'm very happy for them. You may think I'm being sarcastic, but I'm not, because what they do every morning is not easy, and they do it really well, and they bring it every single day. And 4 hours of radio every single day is exhausting. And so I just want everybody to know that those guys deserve a little round of applause, because They are holding down the fort here every morning on 97.3 The Fan. So there you go, Bennett Woods. Shout out to you guys for getting some of the morning off. Now, I was talking about Jackson Merrill, and Jackson Merrill, this is something that I think we need to talk more about. And I've seen people in the last couple of weeks talk more about this. But Jackson Merrill, it seems like, can find a way out of a hitless streak and not let himself get too deep into it. The most he's gone this year, number of games in a row without a hit, is 6. And you're telling me a rookie who has never seen Major League pitching like this before has a 6-game streak without a hit as the longest in his career so far. That's pretty incredible, have to say. And when you see him at the plate, you see someone who takes, I think Tony phrases it like this, takes what's given to him. And he's not like going up there forcing anything, swinging at bad pitches because he's in a rut and he needs to get out of this rut. He goes up there and he ends up ending a streak by getting a single or something like that. And it's just on a pitch that, you know, he swings at, and it resets everything for him, it seems like. I'm not a hitter, a professional hitter, so I don't really know. But when you look at him, you can see that he's not intimidated up there at all. And you could also see that he is getting better and better and better as the year goes along. And that is why, to me, I think that Jackson Merrill is the rookie of the year. He's doing this every single day. He hasn't missed many games this year. I don't believe he's been on the IL this year. And I know that Paul Skeens is going to get all the press and all the hype, and sure, he's exciting, and sure, he throws the ball hard. But I would think a full baseball season. Now, if Jackson Merrill played half the baseball season, I wouldn't have this opinion. But a full baseball season is much more difficult than what Paul Skeens is doing, to me. I mean, pitching's hard, but so is staying healthy, and so is playing the outfield every single day. I don't know why more people aren't giving him enough credit for that. As a rookie who never played center field coming in, he's played center field all season long. He's played a really good center field all season long, and we've seen what he could do hitting, and we know that he can hit. He has power. He has timely hits. He's able to steal bases. I mean, he's doing it all this year. And I just don't understand how Paul Skeens, after his, 12 starts? I know I'm on a Paul Skeens rant again. It's not Paul Skeens' fault that everybody wants him to be the rookie of the year. I'm going to fight for Jackson Merrill, though, because I do 100% believe everything that I'm saying. I don't think it's easier to do what Jackson Merrill is doing than it is for what Paul Skeens is doing. And Paul Skeens still has time left that he has to play in the season. Same with Jackson Merrill, and things can change. But as of right now, I just don't understand why people don't think Jackson Merrill is the rookie of the year in the National League. Paul Skeens hasn't been there long enough. What the guys always say, and this isn't necessarily a Paul Skeens thing, but availability is your best ability. Paul Skeens wasn't available all year because he was in the minor leagues and because the Pirates didn't want him to start his time clock and all that stuff, team control. But Jackson Merrill has been there since day one, and he continues to do amazing things for the Padres and amazing things for a kid. Can't believe I'm saying a kid, even though he is, because I'm 39 years old, and he's, I think, 21 years old. That makes me feel really old, to be honest, to be talking about a 21-year-old. But as I said all spring training long, I have a huge man crush on Jackson Merrill. I think it's awesome. He gets to do everything that everybody else gets to do, he gets to do everything that everybody wants to do, is what I meant to say, which is play baseball at the age of 20, 21, and play it professionally and be good at it. Like, that is the dream. I wanted to be Henry Rowan Gardner from Rookie of the Year. Didn't work out. I wanted to be an NFL football player. Didn't work out. But Jackson Merrill gets to live that dream, and I'm jealous about that because that is pretty awesome. But the Jackson Merrill thing, I don't think is going to be... I don't think I'm going to win this debate in the end. Popularity right now, or I guess perceived popularity right now, tells me that Paul Skeens is going to win. But when you really look at the numbers and you really look at what they've contributed to their teams this year, I think Jackson Merrill, just because he's an everyday player and he's been doing this all season long, continuing to do this all season long, is why he should win Rookie of the Year. So there you go. My Jackson Merrill rant for the day. You're listening to the Skraby Show here on 97.3 The Fan. We are going to head to break here in just a second. We're going to play Dylan Cease interviewing with Sammy Levitt from earlier. We also have the Daily Gripe. We also will talk a little bit more about some other things. I'm not quite sure what else we'll get into. I have a lot on my list, but we will talk about some things. Let's see. What can I tease? Well, I'll tease the Sammy Levitt interview with Dylan Cease. The guy who threw the no-hitter was on the station just about 20 minutes, 30 minutes after he did it. So we'll hear from him. We'll close out the show. We'll do a Daily Gripe. We'll have some fun. You're listening to the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan. All right, back here in the Odyssey Palace, 97.3 The Fan. July 25th, 2024 will always go down as the Dylan Cease no-hitter game today. That was pretty exciting. Did not expect to wake up to a no-hitter today, but we did wake up to a no-hitter. And it was worth every single rain delay minute, although I wasn't here in studio like Sammy and Frank. So they held down the fort really well. I was listening to them as well. I love the YouTube thing because I don't have to do anything crazy to listen. I just hop on YouTube and I'm able to check in with shows. That's how I've been doing it lately, and I know a lot of you do it as well. So thank you so much for being on the chat and being on the YouTubes all day long, and all of our listeners that are creating this nice Padres community here on 97.3 The Fan. Let's see. I did see a couple phone calls in the last break. I'm sorry if I don't pick them up or if I put you on hold, just stay there because I have to get you in the break. I cannot answer phones during the show because I'm a one-man band right now. And have been on the Skraby show. And it's all right. I don't mind doing this thing by myself, but the phone calls are a little bit tricky. So don't be mad at me if I don't answer. If you feel like I'm ignoring you, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to talk to people and make sure that I don't say anything too stupid. That's really the goal here. I would have to say that's the goal. All right, let's see what I wanted to talk about real quick. I wanted to actually talk about James Wood again real quick because I think this is proof to me at least. Like when you hear about prospects being traded away, or when you hear about these big name prospects, at least in my mind, I'm like, oh man, I don't want to see them in another uniform crush later on in their career and just crush the Padres too. And I'm not saying that James Wood won't turn into that player, but what I am saying is I think people can see now why the Padres were able to move on from James Wood to acquire Juan Soto. I think it's easy to see. He's not. I'm not saying he's not a major league player. It's way too early to tell. He has, obviously, the talent to be at that level. But at the same time, you're looking at Jackson Merrill and James Wood as guys who are, I think they played on the same team together when they grew up in the Maryland area, the Baltimore area. But you see that Jackson Merrill is way ahead of James Wood. And another reason why I think that A.J. Preller did not want to move Jackson Merrill at all. We're all seeing why now Jackson Merrill was untouchable for the Padres organization. Do I think that they thought they were going to know what they were getting in Jackson Merrill? In Jackson Merrill. I don't think ultimately they knew he was going to be this good, but I do think that they knew that he was at least someone that they had to hang on to give it a go. And actually I think it was it was AJ Casavel's newsletter today, and it was about trading and whether or not they have the pieces to trade and all this other stuff. And so if you want to get Tarek Skubal, you got to send Leo Dallas DeVry, and you got to send Ethan Salas and all this other stuff. But if you want to get Garrett Crochet, same thing. But AJ made a good point in his newsletter saying, the last mid-season Padres and White Sox trade happened, and it netted the Padres Fernando Tatis Jr. So we don't really want to one day look down the road and have the White Sox getting us back for what we did to them earlier on when they gave away Fernando Tatis Jr. And I can't remember the other guy's name in it. I think his name is Eric. And then James Shields went to the White Sox. But it just shows you, and back to James Wood, it just shows you, how some of these players are just going to take a lot more time to develop, and James Wood seems like he needs to really grow into his body, honestly. It seems like as a 6'7" guy, I'm sure that I want to say that he's not as coordinated, but I definitely can't say that because he's a professional athlete. But I think people understand what I'm saying, and he's going to grow into that. Same, Jackson Merrill's going to grow into... he's going to put on more muscle, things like that as the years go on. James Wood will too. But Jackson Merrill's already light years ahead of James Wood. And James Wood made a bad decision in the outfield today by diving at that Ha-Seong Kim flare out to left field. Ball got behind him. Padres scored 3 runs. That's all the Padres needed all game long. I mean, basically, if you were to watch the top of the first inning and that was it, that's all you really needed to watch, because Dylan Cease took care of the rest, and Dylan Cease took care of the rest, and the rest is, I guess, I don't want to be too cliche, but I guess I'm going to be too cliche. The rest is history. And I can't say enough about what Jackson Merrill has done. I'm just going to leave it at that. I really, really, really am jealous that I didn't get to be a great baseball player like that. All right, we're coming to the end of the show real quick, and we're going to hear from Dylan Cease with Sammy Levitt. We're going to hear that for sure, and that's going to be coming up here in just a few minutes. But just a fun story. I was looking through Twitter earlier, and there was something that came up, and I'm not bringing this up because it's a 49er. I'm bringing this up because there's something crazy about this, and I want to get people's opinion as to whether or not they've ever done this. But here is Diamador Lenore, who is a cornerback for the 49ers, but he's on with the Up and Adams show, and here is what happened.
I want to know, whose job was it to change the batteries in the smoke detector?
Oh man, that was not nobody's job. My smoke detector still go off right now.
I'm hearing it.
Yeah.
Is that your smoke detector?
Yes. I didn't switch the batteries. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing it wrong.
Diamador, were you sleeping with this going like? Well, I don't understand.
I didn't hit switch so hard, I don't even hear it.
You're telling me you slept an entire night with that noise in the background? How many nights?
This has been going on since last season. It's been good luck, so I just let it go.
So Diamador Lenore is sleeping with a beeping fire or smoke detector in his house for a full year. I can't even imagine how annoying that would be, to be waking up all the time with that thing beeping. There's something annoying. I mean, obviously smoke detectors are good things. I'm not saying they're bad, but there's something extremely annoying about a smoke detector that's out of batteries, and it always seems like the smoke detector is out of batteries like several times a year when they shouldn't be using the batteries. Unless, I mean, a lot of smoke detectors are hardwired, but you know what I'm saying? Like, why do I have to replace the smoke detector battery so much? Diamador Lenore says, I don't care. I don't care about the smoke detector. I'm going to let it beep for the last year. He says it's good luck, but that would drive me insane. And I was wondering if anybody had anything like that out there where they just don't do it and they know they should do it. And so this is very actually dangerous, and it's not something that I really wanted to do. But back in the day, before I was a responsible adult, I was poor. So I wouldn't like to do anything with my car, like change the brakes or anything like that, change the tires, things like that, because I just didn't have the money to pay for any of that stuff. And so I would go as long as I could without it. That's something that I shouldn't have ever done because it's very dangerous. But that's a serious version of what he said. I guess the other thing I could see around my house that I do that is kind of annoying like that, it's not a noise or anything, but I have the ability to set something down and leave it there forever. Like, forever. And it's not because I'm a hoarder or anything, but clutter doesn't really bother me. I know it bothers a lot of other people, but clutter does not bother me. So if you have any of those, please tweet me at Matt Skraby or Instagram me or something like that. But clutter doesn't really bother me. I have found, bank statements that are in I have a drawer at home that's like all the important stuff goes in here so I know where it's at. And bank statements, I had bank statements going back to like 3 years ago sitting in there, which I don't really need a bank statement. I don't know why I need a bank statement. I can do it online, but I'm really bad at the mail. I'm really bad at stuff like that. Just household items I'm really bad at. But I am very good at changing my smoke detector batteries. I can tell you that, because I am not going to sit a year with that smoke detector beeping while I'm trying to sleep. That is a fact, everybody. All right, Matt Skraby here. coming to the end of the show, we have Sammy Levitt interviewing with Dylan Cease from earlier today. So this happened during the post-game show. Sammy Lev was joined by Dylan Cease just moments after he threw the no-hitter. Here it is.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little concerning. After that seventh, I think I was at 94, 95, and I kind of just had mapped it in my mind. Like if I finish the eighth with like 105, then that should buy me, an inning's worth of pitches. So that was kind of what was on my mind. And then other than that, like I said, it was just how am I going to sequence and how am I going to execute.
Dylan, a couple of years ago with the White Sox, you came one out away. And in fact, it was your now teammate, Luis Ariz, who broke it up. When you think back to that day and you think about what you did today, I mean, how sweet is this, considering you have come so close in the past?
Yeah, I mean, if it happened twice, it would have been heartbreaking, I can tell you that. But, man, I mean, anytime you can do something that's, like that, it's almost it almost feels too good to be true. So much has to go right. Look at those multiple defensive plays today that went our way. And I couldn't be more thrilled.
Yeah, you mentioned the defense. There was the catch in center by Merrill on the deflection off Bogarts. Xander made a great play later in the game. There was a double play from Solano to Kim that was not easy whatsoever. What'd you think about the way your defense helped you through this no-hitter?
Man, I mean, they were rock solid. I wouldn't have thrown it without them. But, Merrill being behind Bogey right there and making that play, and Bogey making that kind of double clutch sliding play on Ruiz. I mean, it's just so much has to go right. And I'm sure when I look back at this, it's going to be even more amazing.
Dylan, that moment in the bottom half of the ninth inning, 2 outs, you're facing the Nationals leadoff man, C.J. Abrams, line drive to right. Johnson catches it. You leap up in the air. Your teammates swarm you, celebrate with you. Take me through your emotions, your feelings. What was that moment like to finally do it?
Man, I don't even know. I don't really know how I felt. I was just so happy. And, I just kind of let out a scream. I think it was like a primal scream. And then everyone is around me. So I think that was the most fun part is, everyone kind of not dogpiling, but, forming a circle and just being so happy. And I mean, I was just screaming yes. I think I screamed yes like 50 times. And, man, that's something I'll be able to relive in my mind for the rest of my life.
Well, Dylan, screaming yes for good reason. What a performance here today. You've been so good as of late, and you were quite literally unhittable in this one here today. Dylan, again, congratulations on your first career no-hitter, and we'll see you back here in San Diego. Thanks so much for calling in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, that is Dylan Cease calling us from Nationals Park.
There you go, Sammy Levitt with Dylan Cease. And Dylan Cease is scheduled to join us tomorrow. Me and Tony, we are going at some point throughout the 2 o'clock hour. We're not real sure what time just yet, but we will let you know as soon as we know. But we are scheduled to talk with Dylan Cease tomorrow. Chris is going to be off tomorrow. Short show tomorrow. It's only an hour and 5 minutes due to the game in Baltimore. But we'll let you know as soon as we do about what time Dylan Cease is going to be on the show. I have some breaking news, everybody.
This is breaking news from 97.3 The Fan.
The Arizona Diamondbacks, according to Jeff Passan, are in agreement on a deal to acquire left-handed reliever AJ, I think it's Puck, from the Miami Marlins, sources tell ESPN. So there you go. First trade of trade season done. And AJ Puck went to go. I had him on my fantasy team last year. He's up and down, or at least last year he was up and down. This year he hasn't saved many games. He's pitched 45 innings. He got a WHIP of 1.34, an ERA of 4.3. He's appeared in 32 games, struck out 45 batters. So this might help. Here's how I'm going to explain this. I think this is something that the Padres need to do. Bring in a guy that necessarily isn't the craziest, has the craziest numbers out there. Bring in a guy that's going to do their job and just fill that need that the Padres have, which is starting pitching right now. I should also say Adam Major is going to be pitching for the Padres tomorrow, so he is going to be starting against the Orioles. Hopefully he does a little bit better than the last few times we've seen him, but as Chris said earlier, there's a reason that the Padres are starting him. They either A, just don't have another option that they trust as much, or B, they believe in him, and I think there's a little bit of both there. But this is what I think the Padres are going to have to go after, this A.J. Puck, I can't say middle tier because A.J. Puck is pretty good, but a lesser-known player that is not going to cost a lot on the trade market. That's what they need. So there you go, breaking news there. I don't think that helps. I mean, it does help the Diamondbacks, but I'm not going to give them the World Series title or anything like that. All right, coming to the end of the show. This is the Skraby Show. Thanks to everyone who has joined us here today on the station. Been a very fun day, and I appreciate all of you being here with us. So let's end it with this.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right, I don't really want to do a gripe on a day like today, but it wouldn't be a Skraby Show without a daily gripe. And my daily gripe, this happened to me on the way in, and it always happens when I'm driving. It's multifaceted. The first part of it is when people are driving under the speed limit. Like this person today was driving 10 miles an hour under the speed limit. There's two things I want to mention here because I got to get this off my chest too. When people turn on their turn signal on like the freeway and they take about a half mile to get over, like, what are you doing? It's not that scary to change lanes. Just do it. Like, I don't understand why you have to spend so long driving before you move over and you just make everyone slow down behind you. Anyway, so back to this morning when I was driving in. And this person in front of me going 10 miles an hour under the speed limit. And I will admit, I wasn't being unsafe, but I was, closer than I should have been probably to the back end of her car. And she was not happy with it. And so I agreed with her. I was a little close. So I backed off a little bit. She stuck her hand out the window, and you know what she gave me. I realized quickly that I was dealing with a crazy person because they're willing to do that. And so I realized I needed to not be crazier than that person. And so I kind of, backed down a little bit and was just like, okay, let me just get past this person and keep going. But as I was passing this person, they were sticking their hand out the window still and yelling at me, telling me to slow down while they were on their phone. There it is. Do not yell at me and do not drive slow. I don't care who you're texting. And this is why this person was driving slow, because they were doing the swerving thing. I didn't necessarily think they were drunk or anything, but please do not get mad at me if you're on the phone while you're driving. Hey, I got something to say to people. The phone. I just saw a text from Sam Levitt, actually. That's why I stopped there. But the phone, when you hold it up and near your mouth, that's not hands-free. So I'm not sure what else we need to do to get people to understand that hands-free is hands-free. It's not where you put it next to your mouth. That really bothers me. When I see people who are on their phone as they're driving. And it also really bothers me when people in expensive cars that I know for a fact have Bluetooth are using their hands and using their phones. So there you go. That is my daily gripe. All right, the Arizona Diamondbacks more is coming out about that, but I'm not going to chase down the rest of the information. AJ Puck is heading to the Arizona Diamondbacks. All right, that's it for me. Thanks to everyone who stayed with us today. Hope you enjoyed our no-hit coverage here on 97.3 The Fan. Appreciate you all. We will be back tomorrow. Ben and Wood start at 6 a.m., Annie and Nelson at 10 a.m., and then Gwen and Chris at 2 p.m. We will have Dylan Cease scheduled to be on the show tomorrow. So appreciate you all. Have a great night. Enjoy your dreams tonight with Dylan Cease pitching a no-hitter. Good night, everybody.